Today on the podcast, I'm excited to have Anthony O'Neill talking to me today. How are you doing, Anthony?
Deborah, I am excited to be on this podcast. I've heard some amazing things. If I'm not mistaken, I may even get a little bit of free therapy from you. So
You got that right.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm glad to hear you're excited and not intimidated. Sometimes people are like, all right, here we go.
Nah, man. Therapy is a good
So, yeah, it really is. And especially when partnered with the work of the Holy Spirit, you
thing.
know?
Mhm.
And so I'm looking forward to digging in with you a little bit today. So before we start though, can you tell us, for people who might not recognize you or know who you are, a little bit about yourself and what you do, what you're up to?
Man, my name is Anthony O'Neill. Some people call me AO. It's short for Anthony O'Neill. I live in the DMV area by way of Nashville, Tennessee. I had the opportunity to work with an amazing individual by the name of Dave Ramsey for about 6, 7 years before joining Dave Ramsey. What a lot of people don't know is that I used to be a full-time associate pastor uh,
Wow.
10 years of my life.
I
So
did not know that.
yeah, so that's how I found Ramsey Solutions by pastoring young people. I wasn't a senior pastor; I was one of the executive pastors, and I was over the youth and young adult ministry. And we had a little over 5,000 young people come in and out of that organization, that church, and
Wow.
it was something that I really loved. I really loved helping people get out of debt, build wealth, and specifically for younger people at that time was avoid student loans and credit cards because the baseline of my story is I had no financial education from my parents and from the church. And when I graduated high school, within a matter of 6 months, me being outside of high school, I racked up about $35,000 in debt that I did not even need. Uh,
Wow.
I had my father's GI Bill. I had a scholarship for debating. I didn't need any student loans, but I took them out. And so, with that being said, because I didn't have the proper education, I racked up all this debt, made some poor decisions that at that time I had to drop out of school. And my father and I got into an argument. I became homeless. All my friends who I tried to impress just left me hanging. And so I had to really learn about money my own way. And I made a lot of mistakes doing that. And when I got out of debt, when I built my wealth, I said, you know what? I want to teach young people and all people. I'm going to even have a heart for people of color from less fortunate communities to where I can help them financially and just really take control of their life and take a seat at their own table and build wealth so they can leave an inheritance for their children's children. So I do that now. Got a big
That's
show,
awesome.
and hopefully we'll have you on there one day soon, and we'll be good from there.
That's so exciting and such good work to help people in that capacity. So good for you. Okay, so tell me, how can I help you today?
When I was thinking about this before I coming on, I was like, you know what, man? I was sitting there thinking the other day, Deborah. I was like, man, I'm back in school with getting my finishing my bachelor's, getting my certification for financial advising,
Yeah,
for financial planner to be correctly, and then
good for
finishing
you.
my MBA. And all this stuff is happening. Built this major 7-figure business. Everything is going well in life. And I came home the other day and I was like, man, I have no one to share it with.
Mm.
I have a beautiful black dog by the name of Raven. And I talk to her and she gives me the perfect look, like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, but I want my partner.
Yeah,
And I think a part of me is oftentimes, even from a public standpoint, Deborah, because I am a public figure, there's always there's this negative question. Well, why is he single? He's
sure.
successful, he's young, he ain't got no kids, he got a little bit of money. You know what he's talking about? He's handsome. Like that's a red flag. He must be crazy. He must be, whatever. And I'm like, man, and it's starting to not really starting to bother, but no, it bothers me. And I'm just ready for marriage, but I don't want to rush it because society says I need to get married.
Yeah, it is tricky. Let me ask you this. Do you mind if I ask your age?
40.
40. Okay,
Mhm,
so again, the assumption of, oh, you should be married by now. What's going on?
mhm,
People's timeline versus your timeline. If I would have asked you in your 20s, How old do you think you would be getting married? What would you have told me?
30, 35.
Okay, so
I proposed when I was 30.
you had your head on straight as far as like it's not going to be when I'm like 20.
No.
Give yourself some time.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say you would have proposed
I
at
did
30? You
propose.
did. Tell me a little bit about that.
Man, beautiful young lady. She was about 12 years older than me. I met her when I was
That's
27.
interesting.
I'm attracted to maturity and beauty, but maturity attracts me a little bit quicker than beauty. And so I tend to find maturity in older ladies. And I think it's because I kind of want a woman who's like just as smart as me, or maybe even a little bit smarter. And so I tend to find that in older. But I proposed right at 29, 30 years old. And it just didn't work out because we just really realized that there really was a huge age difference between us.
Yeah.
She was coming off of a mountain when it comes to life. She already raised two kids on her own. Last one had just graduated high school, right when her and I decided to go our separate ways. She didn't want to start all the way over again at 42 years old, having a child and being 62. I like to do certain things that she didn't really like. And we just realized that I'm coming to a mountain of life that she's coming off of. And that neither one of us were wrong. We just weren't aligned. And so
Yeah.
I walked away from that one. Um, and it was cool. It was really cool to walk away from that one. But even since then, man, I dated an amazing lady that I walked away from. And while I, I don't want to say I regret it, because I believe God is going to bless me anyways. But if I could go back, I would not have let her walk away.
Mm.
Really
Why do
would.
you say that? What was there that you're now looking and saying, okay, those were some of the ingredients that I needed?
Man, I think as I've matured, as I've evolved, as I gotten deeper in my word, I understood what a partner really was. And a partner is not just what I need or desire for today, but it's what I need for tomorrow. And that woman had everything that I needed for the season where God was taking me. And I was only looking at today at that time.
Yeah.
And she she always wanted to talk about my vision. She always wanted to help me. She always wanted to be around me. She always wanted to be a part of things. And I just didn't allow her to, because I was like, no, I don't need you to be helping me and doing this and doing that. I need you to, be my soft spot. Let's laugh. Let's kick it. Let's cuddle. Let's kiss. Let's do that stuff. Let's not do the whole working thing. And now that I'm older, I'm like, no, I need someone to help. I need someone I can talk about business with. Like, I need someone who I can say, well, God told me to do this, babe. This opportunity came up with school. Like, I'm
Right.
I'm calling my mama still at 40, and I'm like,
Yeah.
messed up. Like I
You,
I, I messed up with that one. I ain't gonna lie.
so you're looking at it now like, yeah, this is a team thing. I need somebody who can be a part of every part of my life, not just this one part of my life.
Facts, facts,
But
facts. Nah,
maybe
it's a beautiful thing.
did it feel intrusive back then? Did it feel too much? Like, what do you think was the aversion back then?
You know what, Deborah? I really can't say because I never saw my parents partner together and build something. I've always saw my dads go out there and build. And I say dads because I have a biological father and a stepfather, and a stepmother and a biological mother, right? And so both of my fathers, I just saw them go out and build. And the wives, man, they'll have a job here and there, but they really weren't like helping my dad's build, but they were tending to the home and making sure home was straight. And I don't knock that process, but it's like in today's day and time, man, I just think that if I find a wife that wants to do that, cool, great. But then it will be dope to be able to talk to my baby about business, about where God is taking us and how
Right.
we can do it, not how I can do it, and how are the kids, right?
Right.
It's how are we doing
Right.
life together in all
Right.
aspects of life. That's what I do.
So it wasn't so much an aversion, it was just you weren't really used to that. It was
Mm,
foreign. It wasn't familiar. It's like, okay, I don't know if you're supposed to be in this space.
facts. I I've never seen it before growing up.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to reduplicate what I saw growing up.
So is that relationship now totally off the table?
Yeah, it's totally off the table. She's dating an amazing man. I respect the brother. Don't know the brother, but I respect the brother. And I respect her enough to not even try and come in there and mess up her love because she gave me years of her life. And
Yeah.
we were never in a committed relationship.
Right.
But she loved me enough to do that. And so now I have to respect the fact that I missed out on that. And what I'm not going to do is disrespect that man and disrespect her when just because I've matured.
Yeah.
And now that she's happy, I'm not going to mess that up, man. And so I did try. She had texted me a long time ago, and I responded with something, and it was a little teaser, Deborah, and she didn't respond, and so I was like, I'm not even mad, and I wasn't
Yeah.
even hurt, because I text that knowing she's not going to respond,
Right.
and she didn't, and that's the only sign that I needed, and I respect it.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. And I think that's the right attitude. It's like, what else can you do at this point besides learn and recalibrate your desires, your needs in a relationship moving forward? Sometimes God does allow us to see things
Mhm,
so that we recalibrate for the
mhm,
future,
mhm,
change our template a little bit
mhm.
to become more healthy. As your template becomes more healthy, as you become more healthy, you're more attracted to healthy.
Oh, that's so good.
So here's out of curiosity. You're so good with finances, business, building wealth. Like you're killing that part of your life
Mhm,
and God's hand is all over it.
mhm.
How do you think you've been doing as far as the emotional health, the mental health, the relational health? Tell me a little bit about that part of your life.
So it's so funny. I just started meeting with an emotional coach once a month, and that's been pretty good because I have not been well. I know me. Like if breakups, I don't do well with breakups. I will emotionally be down for a while.
Mm,
I can't work, can't really focus. And so what I've learned is I need to know how to control my emotions. Uh, and so in those areas of my life, I think I am at a healthy place, but am I at a place of it is solid? No, I got some more work to do there. But it's not at an unhealthy place that will derail a relationship, derail my business, or derail my personal life.
yeah.
But it's not at a place to where I still don't feel the impact.
Yeah.
I'm at the level to where, okay, I'm hurting. Okay, I know that's not the right train of thought. Okay, don't allow it to impact. But while I'm working, I'm still crying on the inside. I'm still feeling it on the inside. I'm still emotionally up and down. And even sometimes I may have to like end a meeting a little bit earlier with my team because it's like, hey, I don't want to say something that's going to be disrespectful to y'all. Let me just step away for a minute and we'll just reconvene at a later time. But it's at a healthy place to where I know, okay, how I'm thinking is not right.
Yeah.
Um, so now because I know that I can address it. When before, nah, I couldn't tell myself nothing.
So now you're just becoming more aware of your feelings, what they're signaling to you,
Yeah,
what some of those underlying beliefs might be. So you said breakups are hard for you.
hard.
What do you think it is about breakups that makes you feel so low? Like, what do you think is going on in your mind when you break up? Is it about the rejection? Is it about the fear of the future? Is it about the loneliness? What do you think it is about a breakup that really pushes that button for you?
You know what, Deborah, is I go all in. And I think it's a little bit of the finances side of me. If I make an investment, I better see a return on my investment.
Yeah.
And so it's like the breakup is like, okay, wait, I'm not getting a return on my investment,
Yeah.
but you're getting a return on what I invested into you.
Okay.
And like that's how I don't do that well. Because in my head, I'm like, well, I did this for you, I did that. wow, I didn't cheat, I didn't lie. I had all these other chicks coming after me and I was being faithful. Like I have all this stuff going through my head, just being honest, right? And I'm like, most of the time, men do all of the, I would say, physical and practical investing.
Okay.
I've I don't do just the physical and practical. I do the physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical.
Okay.
And so it's like, man, I feel like, not saying that ladies don't give nothing. I'm not saying that at all. So listeners, please hear my heart.
Yeah.
It's like, but I do believe men do give a little bit more because we're the ones who have to pay for dinners. We're
Well,
the
let me tell you this. You're probably not accurate. It's probably you are the one that you, Anthony, has a tendency to give more.
for real.
I would imagine people listening are like, that hasn't been my experience.
Mm,
So that kind of leads me to ask you this,
that's good.
looking at your life, your past, your history, what's your birth order? Are you a firstborn?
Firstborn.
Okay, you seem like it. Firstborns tend to be a little over responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Firstborns tend to see the needs and focus in on, okay, where do I fill in the gaps here?
Facts.
But they tend to be more focused on the needs of others,
Facts.
less focused on their own needs.
Totally facts.
And I believe the tendency is to also carry that into relationships, where if a relationship is the plant, I'm given over 50%. I'm given 60, 70, 80, 90%. And that's what I believe that I'm supposed to do to keep this thing alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But really, if a relationship is like a plant, there's got to be that give and take. If you underwater a plant, it dies.
Mm,
But if you overwater a plant, it could
mm-hmm.
also die. Or you die in the process
Mm-hmm.
because you feel like I'm just giving so much and so much. And maybe you believe the expectation is you shouldn't ask for something in return.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if I would venture to, if I had to guess, I would guess your relationships have been off balanced in that you're probably giving more than you're receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And then you walk away from that and you're like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? And I think it feels even worse after a breakup. But let me tell you this, if you find yourself in a long-term relationship where you're doing the majority of the giving, even
Mm-hmm.
if you don't break up, what's going to happen is you're going to end up bitter.
Mm, mm,
At some point, you're going to start to feel it.
mm-hmm.
And so, even shifting that pattern from the beginning, going in with the expectation of, I am here to give, but I'm also here to receive. I think receiving requires you to be a little bit more vulnerable.
Mm,
Like, here's a need I have. Can you meet it?
mm-hmm.
A little more trusting,
Mm,
puts you at risk when you
mm-hmm.
have a need. It's like she may or may not comply. She may or may not care. She may or may not fill this need. And so it's a vulnerable thing to put yourself at a place where it's like, what are my needs and how do I get these needs met? But if you begin that balance even in dating, I think it will reduce the pain of a breakup because you also feel like you got something out of it.
No, that's gold. Because I always leave saying, what did I get out of it? I didn't get nothing out of this. It was a waste of time. Then it makes me even think like, man, I should go back to my days before I was saved and just be that no good guy and just get, because back then it was let me
Right.
get everything I need,
Right.
get everything I desire. And I could easily walk away from those relationships. Now it's, now let me be a man and let me show her I could lead. Let me show her I could be a man. Let me give and da 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 da. And
And
then,
maybe you've overcompensated in that way where you're feeling empty. And so, yeah, once you get bitter, the default is fine, forget this. I'm just going to get my needs met. But that's not the right answer either because it's the same thing as that plant. If I give too little, the plant dies. That was your early days before Christ. But now, if I give too much, the plant will still die. So
Right.
I have to find that healthy balance of give and receive and figure out what's preventing me from expecting,
Mm,
asking,
mm,
being vulnerable.
mm.
Um, if you would have to narrow down your deepest need in a relationship, like this is what I need from you, what would that be?
I think my deepest need is words of affirmation that when the world may criticize me for what I do, for what I say, my woman always has my back. And words of affirmation is not always you're doing good. Words of affirmation maybe say, well, babe, you did good, but you could do a little better over here.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't have that, haven't had that in a relationship. And I haven't had it from any other women outside of my mom's. And it's like I want to come home and know that as long as my wife, as long as my woman is like, babe, you got this, or babe, we could do better over here, or babe, hey, you did this, da 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 da. I would feel like Superman because the woman who I love the most, the person who I cared for the most in my life, is affirming me. I don't need affirmation, but I do need it from someone who I love and cherish.
Yeah.
And so I think that is one of the biggest things that I need deep down. My dad said something to me a long time ago. Said, one thing I love about your mom, he said, this may sound so non-spiritual, but it's not. He was like, your mom adores me. Like
Hmm.
she almost makes me feel like she worships me, but she doesn't. It's like no matter what I do, your mama is going to have my back, adore me, and make me feel like literally a son of God. Like I am not God, but I'm the next man to God. And it was like, you need that in your life, son.
Hmm.
And I was like, I really, really, really do. And so what I try to do is I try to be that for her, to show her that, yo, listen, you're beautiful. Yo, you're amazing. You're an amazing mother. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. But I don't get that in return. And then I'm like, dang. And then vulnerability. I know I wish, see, this is why we need to have a session, like 2 hour sessions
Hmm. Let's do
on
it.
your podcast. And
Next time
maybe
I
bring
come
you on
down to
my show.
DC,
Yeah,
Anthony,
we
we'll
got to
do
do this.
it.
Because I'm like, vulnerability is hard for men, especially in
Yeah.
today's society, because it's not praise from a public standpoint for a man to be vulnerable and to say what he needs. And then it's like when we do it, sometimes it can be used as a weapon. And that is a fear of mine that my vulnerability could be used as a weapon against
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I know that I have to be vulnerable in a relationship, but it's like, man, when do you know it's a safe place to be vulnerable in a
Right.
relationship?
Right.
And so,
It's true. It can be used against you,
mm,
but at the same time, it's the only thing that paves the way for intimacy. There's nothing else.
mm,
It's that string. It's like I'm not asking anybody else to meet these needs but
mm,
you. And so it also paves the way for intimacy, but yeah, of course it can be used against you.
mm,
And so I think vulnerability is something that increases with time, not right off the bat. It's like trust. Trust isn't something you give, trust is something that's earned with time,
yes,
with consistency. And
yes,
vulnerability is the same. I think the problem is too many people hold back, and then they get accustomed to holding back, or I don't even know my own needs. So I don't even know
mm,
how to put them into words because I don't even think about my needs. I don't even focus on my needs. I just focus on yours
mhm,
until I'm feeling off.
mhm,
So even just being aware, like, what do I need in this moment? Why is this feeling off balanced? What could I use from you? I mean, this is a process of self-discovery too, because there's so many men that I ask, tell me your needs. And it's like, that's a good question. Haven't
mhm,
thought about that one much. I don't
mhm,
know. Or they default to physical needs. But like
Physical is easy though, never.
Right.
I've
It
never
is.
dated an ugly woman.
Well, not even
Beauty
just
is not hard.
yeah, yeah, I get that, but not even in that realm, but like, okay, I could use you to do this for me or that for me. You know
Oh.
what I mean? Versus physical attraction, but actual like, okay, I need you to do this versus I need this emotionally.
Hmm.
I need to feel safe.
Hmm.
I need to feel affirmed. I need to feel validated. I need to feel respected. I need to feel seen. What's going on underneath the surface here, and how can I convey that in a way that makes the relationship feel more balanced?
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask this because you mentioned physical. Do you think you have a healthy perspective on physical beauty and its importance in a marriage? That's
Yeah.
like a, oh, how do I, I'm like setting you up to fail for this question, Anthony.
Well, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I think physical is important, but it is not the most important thing, if I put it like that.
yeah,
I used to think it was, but as I've matured and as I've grown, someone who I'm dating in 2024, I would not have dated in 2022. I mean, in 2018, let's say,
yeah, yeah,
because I've learned what you said. Being emotional and being vulnerable is a line to intimacy, and that line to intimacy makes this woman even more beautiful to me.
yeah,
And so I've really matured to the point to where, okay, cool. When I look at her, am I like she's beautiful? That's important, right? But then as I get to know her more, as I'm like, man, yo, you are, I mean, gorgeous, because now the inner is shining through to make the exterior even better. I used to be the guy, just be transparent. Like if she need to be thick in the most respectful. I don't know how to say it respectfully. I'm a man, so But now it's like if she's not thick, let's say she's petite, but
hmm,
she loves God. She has an entrepreneur spirit. She can create a safe space for me to be vulnerable, and I feel like she has my heart as the ribbon. She's protecting it and she's not squeezing it. Man, that woman is going to be fine as you know what to me, right?
right,
But back in my 20s is nah, she need to have them heels, and when she walked, I need the room shaking. And but she didn't love God, and she would cuss me out, and she would treat me wrong, and but I would overlook it because of the beauty, because of
yeah,
the physicalness. And so I think I have a healthy perspective on that, only because I'm 40 now, and
yeah.
I've been able to experience both, and I like the season that I'm in now because my wife would be beautiful to me until the day I die. But let's be honest, the beauty will fade as we get older.
You better believe it.
But that heart
I
won't.
hate that it's true, but it
I know,
is.
you know what I'm saying? But it's like the heart won't fade,
Right.
character won't fade. However,
Those are the things that grow with time, whereas physical appearance, if we're honest, decreases with time. I mean, just
yes,
practically, an 80-year-old woman is not going to look the same as a 30-year-old woman. Like, there is
fact.
just something naturally that occurs. But I do believe what you're saying to be true in that when I choose this woman, she becomes the measuring stick of beauty. And
Yes.
I actually believe that that is something that the Lord can help us with. Like,
Mm,
Lord, let her be the measuring stick of beauty for me for the rest of my life.
mm,
Because practically, you're not going to marry the most beautiful woman,
mm,
but she's the most beautiful to you. And she becomes the measuring stick of beauty. Like, nobody
mm,
else compares to that. And I believe that's something that we get from from the Holy Spirit. And it's how we train our brain. And even how you're training your brain as a single man right now with what you're taking in, what you're blocking out, what you're
mm,
focused on. That also, we talked about template earlier, that adjusts the template and makes sure it's aligned to health versus aligned to porn, the entertainment industry, Hollywood, random girls at the gym. Like what you take in and allow yourself to fixate on also shifts your template of attraction.
So good.
So it's a work in progress even as a single man. You know, Anthony, I feel like you've really come a long way. I had a brief interaction with you maybe a decade ago through just I don't even remember something that some singles thing that was going on.
Mm,
And I see and hear and feel
mm,
the growth, the maturity, the movement, the journey that God has taken you on. And it feels really special. I'm excited to see where he's taken you and the levels of health that he wants to take you to so that you can attract a woman in that same place of health
yeah.
because that's what sets you up for a really great marriage. And who knows? Listen, Anthony, what's your Instagram handle? We might have some people reaching out.
That's funny. Everything is at Anthony O'Neill, no apostrophe. Anthony O'Neill is all my social media handles.
How do you feel about a girl initiating?
Uh,
Like, hey, I heard you on the podcast. You sound like someone I'd love to get to know.
well, I would say that's fine. Just leave it there, you know what I'm saying? And if I like it, then I'll pursue. If I don't, then I just won't. But I kind of like being the pursuer. I don't want to feel like I am being pursued, if that makes sense.
But remember, we got to go back to keeping it balanced,
That's
right?
true.
So
Yeah.
even that mentality is fine, but it's got to be rooted in give and take.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because here's the other thing you don't want to create. You don't want to create the princess mentality either. When
Mm,
you set up a relationship in that way, it often carries over into marriage. It's like, okay, he's doing everything. He's the pursuer, he's the initiator. I just get to sit back and receive. But what you said to me earlier is what actually makes a healthy relationship. Like, we're a team.
hmm.
We're a team in how we start this relationship. We're a team in where we take this relationship. So even keep that in your mind, as some of those are probably narratives and belief systems that maybe God wants to tweak a little for your benefit.
Yes, ma'am. No, I hear that and I receive that. And I need to do more of that, have the give and take. I'm used to giving, 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 then take, then giving, 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 then take. So
Right.
I appreciate that. That's something I'm really walking away from this our conversation today.
Good. Okay, before we leave, let us know where people can connect with you, what you're doing, what you're excited about.
Man, listen, everything, all thing at anthonyoneil.com. Don't come to me if y'all trying to get Deborah's kind of good theological counseling sessions. I can only help you with money. I can help you get out of debt, help you build your wealth up, and pray for you in that area. And so all of our resources are over there to help you get out of debt and build wealth. And then I got a brand new book coming out called Take Your Seat at the Table, where we're teaching you how to live and a blessed life, an abundant life, and a life of freedom. And so I'm really excited about that. So just go to anthonyoneil.com, check it out, and we'll help you get right in the area of your finances.
Amazing. You guys check out Anthony, connect with him. It was so good to have you.
Thank you, Deborah. It was so good to be on.